this is JJ Barnes, and this is Jonathan McKinney.
Hello.
Hi. And you are listening to the first episode of our new podcast. It's going out, obviously, as you can see, on the Siren Stories, the podcast
Page.
feed.
Yes.
And we are doing the first episode today of WandaVision.
So the Marvel
Cinematic Universe.
And Disney Plus.
And Disney Plusian.
Yeah, the Disney Plusian universe.
Plusian. So, I'll very quickly, before we start, say that if you are looking over this feed, because it might bring up old episodes, me and John used to podcast quite a lot, not just on this feed, but on others as well.
Yeah.
We at one point were doing quite a lot of podcasts. That was kind of our main job for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But we had various incidents that kind of took over. So there was illness.
Yes.
There
many illnesses.
I was hospitalized. Our child was hospitalized. And then we had to make a movie.
Yeah.
And we had to stop. And then lockdown came.
Mm-hmm.
And
we have a sneezing dog.
All of the routine that we got into with the podcasting kind of had to fall away because everything just lined up against us. So we haven't done this together now in a year and a half, longer.
Yeah.
I think a year and a half.
I think we did a podcast about Infinity War.
We did Lost.
We did Lost for a little while. But
again, that was right before the movie. So we had to break for the movie and then everything went wrong. So we are back for a new routine, and because WandaVision is quite short.
Yeah, it's quite short. There's only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
To talk about, so we're not committing to.
We are
1,000 episodes of Lost.
We are hopefully not. Now we can't leave the house. We're hopefully not going to have anyone hospitalized. We're not going to have any more children.
We're definitely not going to have any more children.
We can't make any more movies yet, so we are locked in for this.
Yes.
So what we're going to do for the format for this, for each episode, we're going to break the podcast into 4 parts. We're going to first talk about the plot of the episode that we're doing.
Yeah.
Then we're going to talk about what we liked about it, the things we responded positively to. And things like that. And then we're going to do what we didn't like.
Sure. And
then we'll do some final thoughts.
Okay, should we quickly talk about us in case anybody's listening to this?
Yeah, of course.
Doesn't know who we are or why they should listen to us.
Yeah. Tell them, Jonathan, why should the good people of the Podiverse,
the Disney Plusian universe,
Marvel's Versian Podland,
yes, that's
Studios,
what they officially call themselves.
Yes. Why should they listen to us talk?
Okay. I mean, that's obviously a choice. If you want to listen to us, then
I'm not saying they have to. You do have to.
Selling myself.
Would you like me to do it, darling?
Yeah, go bananas.
I am much more happy selling myself than you are. So we are writers, we are filmmakers. As I said, we stopped to make a movie, which was Hollowhead, which is in post-production now. We're also writers. We write books and scripts, and we've had other things made.
You will have heard a bit of music at the start of this podcast that I have written.
He's a wonderful musician. And we are entertainment creators. Entertainers. Yeah. So basically, when we talk about story, we will be doing it with a sort of a storyteller lens, also experience in filmmaking lens, which is why I think film and TV is such an interesting thing for us to talk about, because we both know both the writing process that goes into making things and the filming process, which is 2 very different things, but equally feeding the same result. So
they should be in concert with one another.
They should be. They are not always, but they should be. And I feel like in this case they were. But the point is, we will be talking about it with not just that lens, because we're also massive consumers of entertainment made by others. So we will be talking about it as consumers as well. But if you are interested in writing and filmmaking, then that will be part of the process here too.
Yeah, the cats, if you notice that we are staggered a little bit in our speech, the cats were
Wrestling.
Wrestling. It was an event.
It was honestly, we have two cats, Batman and Robin, who you might hear, and we have a dog called Molly, who you might hear. But we are in difficult circumstances. Everyone's in lockdown. We're all recording things and working in challenging circumstances. So you'll be used to that. I'm sure you're doing this thing. You've probably had to take a Zoom conference with your child climbing on you. So
yeah, unfortunate.
So WandaVision, Jonathan McKinney.
Correct.
So first, the plot. We're going to do episode 1. We'll talk about who's in it, what happens. I'd seen a couple of trailers for it on Twitter.
Right.
So I wasn't shocked by the style. Were you shocked by the style?
No, I was not.
Is that because you'd seen the trailers?
It was because I'd seen the trailers, but I also was fairly sure that this is what it was going to be.
Oh, really? Why?
Well, there's a comic book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
By Tom King, where there is a domestic setting for these two characters.
So it's sort of Bewitched meets Pleasantville meets the Stepford Wives.
Never seen that, but yes.
Oh my gosh,
I'm sure.
It's awesome because those are 3 things that I know really well. I grew up watching vintage Bewitched. So when it started, I'm like, I know where I'm at. I get this.
Yeah, I liked Bewitched as well when I was a little kid.
So it starts. So the plot. Well, we'll just do a quick rundown of the plot.
We'll treat the plot as it is presented.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So Wanda is a witch, clearly, because she's flying the plates around the kitchen.
She has a little way of, she doesn't wiggle her nose.
No, she doesn't wiggle her nose.
She flicks her fingers.
Yeah.
Makes things happen.
And Vision, how would you say Vision is? If you didn't know...
He's a robot who can look like a human.
Yeah, but if you didn't know the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if you hadn't seen Vision, the creation of Vision by Tony Stark...
He's a magic robot.
Would you have thought magic robot?
Yeah.
I think I'd have thought alien.
Wanda and the Alien.
Yeah, literally, our children like Wanda and the Alien. But I think I would have thought alien. But yeah, magic robot would also have made sense to me. So yeah, he can walk through walls, and he has a impenetrable head, and he's trying to masquerade.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, he's trying to masquerade as a human, and she is trying to masquerade as a normie,
as a housewife.
So she, the first episode is them moving into their new house. The wonderful Catherine Hahn, who is hilarious. We love her. Do you know anything of her?
I don't know.
Okay, so at Christmas, when I was obviously watching all my Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And do you remember I watched Bad Moms Christmas?
Oh, is she the mom of Kristen?
No, she's one of the
contemporary.
She's contemporary to Kristen Bell. Do you remember Smallville?
Yes, of course.
You remember who Justin Hartley, who plays Green Arrow in? Well, basically in Bad Moms Christmas, she waxes Green Arrow's balls.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, and he's fine with it. And it's very funny. But she's very funny in the Bad Moms movies. I know they're terrible. And don't judge me as a writer. And I'm talking about my writing knowledge. And I'm saying how much I love them. I know they're terrible.
They're probably not terrible.
They are. But I'm allowing my guilty pleasures. So I'm rolling with it.
Okay. There are no guilty pleasures, though.
I agree. This is the problem.
Well, except murdering people. Murdering people is a guilty pleasure.
True. I would feel guilty. But anyway, the point is, she's very, very funny in that. So when she rocks up, I was like, yay! I love her. She's hilarious. So Wanda has to work out how to do a posh dinner party
for Mr. and Mrs. Hart.
For Mr. and Mrs. Hart, who they think it's their anniversary because there's a heart on the calendar. They have to put on a big dinner party for the bosses of Vision, who is trying to make his way a firm. He's not sure what they do. They do Computron forms. And it's like, do we make anything? And they're like, nope. Do we sell anything?
Like,
nope. So yeah, the whole story, it's very 50s housewife has to work out how to put on a thing, and they have to distract the guests from the fact there is magic and magic robots.
Yep. The Mrs. Hart
Yes.
is getting faint-headed because she's so hungry.
Do you remember her?
Of course I remember her.
Good, yeah. Marries Frank Jr.
Yes, marries Frank Jr. And she is the
In
mother
Friends.
from that 70s show. And she's in all sorts of things.
She is.
And she's always very, very funny.
She is.
There is an interesting 90s TV vibe to this. Because in episode 2, there's an actor from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I know! We haven't got to that one
No,
yet.
I know we haven't. But we've watched them both.
I
because
know, but don't talk about that one yet, because we're going to skip ahead of ourselves.
I'm just...
Buddies!
I was very pleased.
I know! So, anyway, move on. So, they have to put on this... They're to try and make this dinner party work to impress the boss. And then at the end of the episode is the very strange when he starts to choke on his food.
Yes.
And I think
the spell is broken.
There are probably hints through it that things aren't. Obviously, in episode, we're not talking about episode 2, but there's sort of hints that things aren't.
Well, the first hint that things aren't quite right is everything that's happening.
Well, I know, but if you didn't know.
But you can't not know at this point.
All right, yeah, you can't not know. But I think the first textual hint
okay, yeah.
is, I guess, like, there might be little ones, others.
My grandmother would have been thoroughly entertained by this TV show.
Until the
choking thing. Then she'd have been like, I don't understand what that's about. I don't like this anymore.
So he chokes on the bit of steak or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And everyone just stares at him, and he's choking, and nobody moves. Then he falls to the floor, and the wife, Mrs. Hart, is just like...
She's telling him to stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Because she's playing it like he's being silly.
Yes. And Wanda and Viz are just staring until he falls to the floor, and then Vision goes and he, like...
Well, Wanda says, help him.
Yeah.
I think. She says, like, save him, help him.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
And then he goes and does it. And then everybody acts like it's completely normal. And they're all funny. And off they go home.
And it's very curious that... Because Mr. Hart is very unimpressed by everything that has happened.
Until Vision saves his life.
Until Vision saves him. And then is, like, super impressed with him and wants to give him a promotion.
Yeah, exactly. So that is, I think, and I'm not going to swear to it because I've only watched it through the once. I think that is the first... Yeah, in episode telltale that magic afoot going wrong.
Or because obviously there's magic. Like there's lots of
sort of
silly magic going on.
Broken magic, essentially.
But the world that you're being presented with is broken too.
Yeah. And then obviously after they leave and there's the lobster on the door and all that sort of stuff, then it goes out of it into a TV set. And then you go from this very quaint 50s, as I say, Bewitched style presentation to the high tech, the modern, the Marvel, high graphics in the titles and the contrast is obviously intentional. Like it is, like it is done to show the old style and then the what you're accustomed to from Marvel, which is the very glossy, very sharp, very graphic-y.
At the very beginning, when you watch anything from Marvel Studios, you get
that's the one I was doing. I was doing the wrong one. I was doing like Paramount or something.
And that too goes a little tinny and a little bit like it was written and recorded in the 1950s, as it's playing.
So that is the rundown of episode 1.
The rundown. Yes.
So I would say now we can go into what we liked.
Okay.
So I'll say, right?
Yes.
And I know, because I've seen people on Twitter, and I've tried not to look at too many reviews.
Well, the good thing is that everybody's only up to the same spot we are.
Yeah, exactly. But I've tried not to look at too many responses, because I didn't want to have my views shaped by anybody else. I wanted to be able to just talk about it without feeling like I'm, you know what I mean, reading it wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like, oh my God, I'm either with the majority or against the majority. I wanted just to get my own feelings.
Yeah.
But I have a few things have slipped into my feed.
Okay. So I want to say at this point that we are both fans of the MCU.
Oh,
right?
massive.
The
Yes.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've
Yes.
seen everything.
Literally. we did them all in order before Endgame. Over a couple of weeks, and we've got kids and jobs, and we just binged.
We sure did.
We just literally binged everything in order to make sure that when we got to Endgame, we were like...
Yeah.
ready.
So... we know who these characters are.
Yeah, and also we're going in with positivity. I don't think we're going in suspicious or cynical or ready to not like it or to critique it. We're going in ready to have a good time.
I think it's fair to say, and I think this is true of both of us, no sort of ongoing storytelling world that we haven't created is as sort of dear to us.
You know what? You're right. Our in like order of importance in our world of universal storytelling, which is when you've got different stories that are all connected in various ways, but they're all happening independently and they've all got links. We write in that world, not the same as this world. We write in our own universe.
Yes.
I would say that ours is our top because obviously we love it. It's ours. And then this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, the only others that are out there at the moment, I think, are like Star Wars and the sort of slightly madcap DC.
DC
thing.
is it's a shame because I like DC, but
I like Batman.
Yeah, I like Wonder Woman
and Superman, but
I agree they've got a bit of shaping to do.
Possibly, but Marvel tends to always hit the ball pretty firmly.
Right, but you know what I really love? Okay.
Yes.
So when this started, as I say, I knew that it started in the black and white, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that it wasn't, because if I hadn't seen the trailers for it,
yes,
I would have expected the same very glossy, very like high-end techie CGI.
Yes.
Like I would have expected that. Almost the point where I say this, as I say, with love, almost a little bit too predictable. It's got to the point where you're like, obviously that's what you're going to get. There is no mystery here. It's going to hit every button. It's going to look good. It's going to be, there's no sort of, what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen. It's going to nail it. But the nailing what you expect can kind of get a little bit like, obviously, it started, I'm like, this is great because I haven't got a clue. So I love that.
The word I had in my head, and it's been in my head ever since the thing started.
Yeah.
Is ultra confidence.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my god, and I respect that so much.
Of course, yeah.
Because they're gonna
not arrogant, not like rushing this.
No, they don't rush it.
This is the most confident little bit of storytelling I've seen.
I thought they would drop it by the end of episode 1 for that reason, like the sort of, like, obviously you've got to get through it, but it's like they don't. And you know what? Because I do have I love old Bewitched, and I've read and watched Stepford Wives, and like obviously it's toxic, the Stepford Wives, but I love the story, so I love the hints of that sexist shit that is part of that. It nostalgia for me in the sense that I've read and loved it. And Pleasantville, the movie, I was obsessed with that. So am I allowed to say shit? Are we allowed to swear on this?
Fucking yeah, we are.
Right, okay, so all that shit, I loved it, right? So I was watching it and thinking to myself, if this was genuine and it wasn't like some kind of weird twisted magic gone wrong,
or if it wasn't ever going to go anywhere and it was just
I was like, I'm having a good time because this is fun. And, I was there, and when I was watching it, I had it on my phone, and I was cooking the kids' lunch. I'm stirring, like, rice in the pot. And I'm like, this is great. I'm having a good time. This is goofy. It's funny. I like these characters. I like the sort of mad cat neighbor who pops around, like, she's, like, chasing around the kitchen trying to get rid of her, and the bewitched style magic. Like, I'm having a great time. I would have been very contented. Like, I know that actually I do like it more because I know something bigger is growing.
Something weird is going on.
And you know what? As I say, I have seen a few with reviews slipped into my Twitter feed that were not positive. But honestly, I had a ball. I loved it. I loved this sort of just the vintage style, and then the hints that things are going to like something's going on, and the fact that because I know these characters and I love these characters, and I know what happens to these characters, I'm completely invested. I loved it.
All right.
Did you?
I don't think I did as much as you.
Yeah, I remember you were like, when you first, because we watched it separately.
That isn't to say that I didn't like it.
Oh, no, I know. But we watched it separately, just so the Podlovians.
The Podlovian
just so
pod people.
The Podlovian pod people know. We watched it separately because we work a lot and we don't get a lot of time to sit. So we watched it separately just when we got an opportunity. And I remember you watched it first and were like, I have thoughts. I'm curious what you think. I have thoughts. And I came out of it just like, oh my God, I loved it.
So I want, and we'll only sort of speak up to the point that we're at, so episode 1. And spoiler alert for episode 2, this is going to continue to be my opinion through episode 2 as well.
Okay, so what is it?
I want more of the mystery.
Are we into what we don't like now?
I mean, no, we're not.
I say we can move into so I'm enthused, and you're on to the what you want more. So we'll do part 3.
I haven't talked about what I like.
Well, then focus on what you like, and then we'll do what you want more of. There is a system here, Jonathan McKinney. We have a formula.
I will respect
that I invented right when we started this show.
The formula.
Respect the formula.
That was invented moments ago.
Precisely. At least minutes at this point.
But also, like we've done this before, so it's somewhat
so do
on me.
Your positoons and then your negatoons.
Tell me the name of the actor who plays Wanda.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen and
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany are very funny.
They're brilliant. And Scarlet Witch is my favourite character.
Yes, she is.
I'm allowed to say fucking, aren't I? I fucking love Scarlet Witch. When she and I know it's like ages ago now, and like she's in loads of movies since, but when she bursts out of that door on Sokovia, you know what I mean? And she's just like, zoom, zoom, I'm like, oh my God, like bouncing.
When Hawkeye tells her, if you want to stay here and feel bad, that's fine, but if you want to go out there, you're an Avenger too.
Oh my God. I just love that character. I love her. So the fact she has a TV show now, I am well in. I am completely in my happy place. I'm talking all over you.
That's fine. I like Paul Bettany's rendition of Yakety Yak.
Yakety Yak. Don't look back. When a lot of the humor is strangely successful. Yeah, I agree.
When he's like, "You're a robot," he's like, "What? I am not. I am a carbon-based human, much like the rest of you."
I love that. I chuckled at that.
The funniest thing happens in the funniest thing for me is in episode 2.
Yeah,
Can you guess what it would be? We can jump. I mean, everybody's watched episode 2 because it's.
I'm guessing during the magic show.
Yes. That was my grandmother's piano. That's Simpsons level humour.
It is. I was trying to picture it all in my head, but yeah, that makes complete sense for your favourite bit.
That's like I was saying boo earnings.
Yes.
That was my grandmother's piano.
I was running through it all in my head, but yeah, you're right. That makes total sense for yours.
Yeah. That is a line I would have advocated for if I'd have been in the room, and if they'd have said no, I'd have stormed out and said,
You would.
"You're all a
not.
bunch of fucking dickheads."
Yeah, you might have done.
I'd have come back.
With coffee and like a donut. Like, I'm sorry,
I'd
you have
come
my
back
donut.
to take my coffee and my donut. But anyway, we'll talk about that during the conversation about the game. But yeah, the sense of humor is great. It genuinely is.
It's very self-aware to me. Like, they know that they're being odd, and they're like, "Well, we'll just roll with it." Like, you can't play it straight.
They
can't.
are funny, and also
he's funny. I really like Paul Bettany.
He's slightly funnier, but she's slightly more human and vulnerable, which probably makes sense because she's actually the human character.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, to what extent are we going to get into what's going on as a theory? Because we're going to theorize about what the fuck is going on.
So, from episode 1, and you theorize. No, save this for final thoughts. We'll go into
what we didn't like.
We have a formula.
We do have a formula on.
So, what didn't you like? Talk to me about what you wanted more of.
A little more mystery. A little bit in the second half. A little bit less of the format that they'd made for this TV show, where it's Bewitched, it's the Stepford Wives, apparently. A little bit less of that, and a little.
It's like a funny, goofy Stepford Wives, because Stepford Wives is very not funny and goofy.
So the episodic structure or conflict machine is literally that they are trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And the oddballs around them make it difficult for them to fit in.
Yes.
And that really persists throughout.
It does.
Which is absolutely a choice, because Nana, my grandmother, as I've said, who would have loved this until the weird choking thing.
I love it.
Yes. You and my grandmother would appreciate that the concept is cleaved to for as long and as firmly as it is. For me, I wanted a little more of the wider world to impact what was happening in the time I was watching.
I would say, right, without doing too much of episode 2, that if it had gone on longer, I would agree. I actually very much liked the fact that they kept it till the end of the pilot. Is it counted as a pilot anymore now? It's all sort of bulk dropped. Well, episode 1.
I mean, no, they didn't make the pilot and then try and get funds for episodes. The rest.
Right. Well, for episode 1 then, I liked that they stuck with it until the end, because when they started to get weird, and I say there might have been hints through. I've not actually watched it more than once to look. But I feel like when it started to get weird...
Weird within the world it was presenting to
Yes.
You. Yeah.
It was... I found it actually more captivating, because it felt like everything had been so carefully held together. And, like, not just for the audience, but for the people in it. And it felt like the crack coming when he starts choking, and the fact that it starts to crack, and then it ends with them being all weird. I feel like it built it more. So when it happened, it had more impact, because it was like, everything's great, everything's normal, everything's funny. And then it was like, oh my God, no, it's not. Whereas I feel like if the oh my God, no, it's not had come at the end, as it did, but there had been more shit going on before that, it would have had less impact. It would have had less shock, because you get relaxed into that is the norm. That is the norm.
Yeah. I mean, really, I am not criticising the choice.
No, I know. I'm just sort of giving you my take.
I'm really just saying that, because the thing that I wanted to know is what is going on.
And the thing is, I would say, we all know something's.
Yeah.
You're not likely to go on to Disney Plus and watch WandaVision if you're not familiar with these characters.
Correct. And the for me, because I wanted to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Once I realised, we're doing the dinner party
Yeah, 'cause
thing.
at first I thought,
I-
they'll drop this quite quickly.
Yeah,
It'll be a dream, or it'll be some kind of hypnosis.
yeah, and it may well turn out to be. But once I realised, oh no, the TV show itself, the actual story, is about them trying to fit in. They are, as I think Vision describes it, like super infitters
Yeah.
or something along those
You know
lines.
what? He has such great delivery.
He does, yeah. It's crazy that he was just the robot voice in Tony Stark's
I know.
suit. But anyway, because I wanted to know what was going on. Once I realised I'm not going to find out, I was a little bit deflated, and I was like, I guess I'm going to watch this dinner party then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, once I adjusted to that, like in episode 2, I was a lot more on board because I was like, no, I'm going to watch this magic show.
Yeah.
Because in episode 1, I watched the dinner party.
You see, we'll get on to episode 2. On to episode 2. But, yeah, it makes sense. I agree. Like I say, I was happy with it, but I understand the criticism.
It's not even a criticism. It's just literally my
Yeah.
feelings as I was watching it.
Yeah.
And I was having a lovely time, but I would have been having... And like, again, it might just be me. I might be wrong.
It probably isn't. As I say, that everyone, you know what I mean? Like, there's been negativity about it.
Yeah, but again, like, because it's story...
Yeah.
Negativity. There's always going to be some dickhead on the
Yeah,
internet
of course there is.
saying blah blah blah. It's
Blah, blah, blah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah, when I've had negativity about my books, I'm like, alright.
Yes, I have had none, but that's because only like 5 people have ever read this.
That's not true. Oh.
So stitch that, Jimmy. So are we talking like that's the end of the sector about that which we didn't like?
Now we shall do our final thoughts, like Springer's final thoughts.
Jerry Springer's final thoughts.
Yeah, but the Barnes McKinney
to go with the 90s vibe of this.
Barnes McKinney final thoughts. I'm putting myself first because of alphabetism.
Nobody wins when petty squabbles come ahead of the well-being of a child.
Yes, exactly. But Springer aside, I
think that was pretty convincing.
It was very... I honestly thought he was in this room.
Podlovians will...
The Podlovians will be like, oh my god, they've got Jerry Springer as a guest. They've brought in ours.
Jerry.
Final thoughts guest. Final thoughts, I think, we should talk about our overall take and what we think is going on and what we expect to happen.
Okay.
But obviously we've seen episode 2, so we can't...
I mean, episode 2 doesn't really reveal anything.
Yeah, but also, like, I'd say talk about what you expected to happen having seen episode 1 before you watched episode 2.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Wanda Maximoff is imagining all of this. Vision is dead. She has created this place to live in her head.
So you think it's post-Vision's death?
Yes, 100% I do, yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
That isn't based on the comic thing that Tom King wrote.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is just the fact that we have... This isn't spoilery. Everybody in the Podlovian
the Podlovians, if they have been watching WandaVision, they know
that
everything.
Vision's head is not indestructible.
It is not indestructible.
Thanos
and obviously that is why the joke was in.
Yeah. So, I believe that Wanda is in some kind... Like, you know the classic episode of the TV show, the fantasy TV show, where the main character is revealed to be in a mental institution somewhere.
Yeah.
And the crazy world of the TV show is apparently like a fantasy that they live in.
Like they try to do to Buffy.
They do it to Buffy, and it's in other things too.
Or like at the end of Wizard of Oz, where she wakes up like, it was a dream, and you were there, and you were there.
And you were there, and you were there. Yeah, I believe this is happening in Wanda's head. Vision is dead. She has created him to go and live in Eastview.
And she's determined to stay there, but the world outside is trying to break it because it's not real.
Yes, whether it's the weird bee-man in episode 2 or the voice on the radio, Wanda, who's doing this to you.
Yeah.
And other things that we'll talk about as we go on.
You see, I had been told either by the Tinterwebs or conversation I've ever heard in pubs, but it probably wasn't conversation in pubs with friends, was it? Because like we haven't been.
We don't have any friends. There are no pubs anymore.
Like the world outside this house does not exist.
There are no pubs anyway.
There are no pubs. All there is the co-op and this house.
That is correct, and the spa.
And the spa. So it probably wasn't overheard conversation in the co-op or the spa or this house. I was told then in some context that, because obviously there's the Black Widow show or movie.
There's a Black Widow movie.
Yeah. That these were all pre-Endgame.
Okay.
But, like, so I had just gone into it like, all right, so this is pre-Endgame. And it's that time between, where they got together.
Maybe.
But so I say that actually coloured my viewing of it, because I was just like, because you know how they at the end of it of which one is it where before they're together and they're living in Scotland or wherever.
Right, so they're living in Scotland in Infinity War,
and before
in
that,
Civil War they are living together, but he tries to keep Wanda from leaving, which is a bit weird. That is the first time we've seen them, I think, since Age of Ultron, when he is created.
Yeah. So I had assumed, based on what the internet had told me, but this is not me researching and studying. This is literally...
It's best not to research and study these things, because this is an ongoing superhero soap opera.
So I didn't research and study. This is just stuck in my mind when I'd seen something about it. That this was in that time period. But it didn't sit right with me when I was watching it. Because as you say, the joke about the head. And I was like, well, obviously everybody watching this knows.
Yeah.
It makes I wish I hadn't gone into it with that.
Well, I mean, you can't forget what you've been.
No, I know, but
sort of primed to expect.
I wish I had gone into it without that, because I agree, because I was watching it and it didn't sit right with me, and I was like, this doesn't feel right, but I don't know why.
Well, I mean, you can just because I don't know. This might well be.
Yeah, I know.
Before Endgame.
Yeah, of course.
Before Infinity War.
I like your theory more. Your theory makes so much more sense.
Well, for one thing, it's chronological. It doesn't require anybody having. I mean, but then the MCU does do stories out of sequence. Like Captain America and Captain Marvel. But most of the time it runs in sequence, and
I'm gonna go with yours. I'm gonna just claim your theory as my own now.
All right.
My theory is that this is after Vision's dead, and she's created it as a way of coping.
And because of her ill-defined magical set of powers, there's no reason to assume that in her own head it's not actually him. Right?
Yeah.
Because, yes, if she was a normal human being, it couldn't possibly be actually him. It would be her interpretation of him.
So you think maybe she has actually recreated him, but he only exists if she stays in that world?
Yes.
So it's not just her.
Or I'm not saying that that's what I think. I'm saying I think that's possible.
She could. Then
and she's gonna have to leave.
Oh my gosh! And then she's gonna have to let them die all over again.
Yes.
That's a great theory. I 100% love that theory, and I'm gonna cry.
Well, good.
If that is the right theory.
Because we talked about Infinity War on this, I think, podcast.
Right? On this stream.
This stream of Podcastian, Podlovian, Bloggity Blue. And we said that the death of Vision in Infinity War would have been more sad, ultimately.
Yeah.
If we'd actually spent any time with this couple.
Yeah.
Rooting for them as a couple.
But now, she's going to have to make the choice. I love that theory.
It explains why she's very firmly devoted to being there. Whether or not, because Vision is, I would argue, a little different, but then so is Wanda.
Yeah. They are recording to the setting they're in rather than where they were.
Yes. So yeah, we're in final thoughts, right?
Yeah.
These are my final thoughts. I think that is what's going on. I think that she is somewhere.
I love it.
catatonic, right? And people are speaking to her, and when you hear the voice coming
On
through
the
the radio,
yeah.
Wanda, who's doing this to you, that's somebody literally speaking to her.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
she lies
I agree.
unconscious.
I agree. That was my interpretation. But that's episode 2. So shush.
So, yeah.
Okay, I would say that is a well completed podcast.
I would agree.
So thank you very much for listening to our podcast on WandaVision.
An inaugural podcast.
Yes. If you want to know more about me and him and all of the things we've been talking about which aren't WandaVision, you can go to www.sirenstories.co.uk.
Oh, if you liked the music.
Oh yeah. Tell you what, I'm going to put links in the description to all of the things. All of the things. As Josette would say. Yeah, I'll put everything there. But yeah, if you go to Siren Stories, on there you'll find links to the books he's written that have been read by 5 people.
You could be number 6, dear friend.
My books and the film and TV stuff, everything basically that and the Siren Stories universe is this shared universe that all the things that we have going on go out in. And there's also the other creators that are in that world. So check it out. Go to Siren Stories. Subscribe with Siren Stories to win free gubbins every month.
1 gubbin.
1 gubbin per month is given away. And yeah, we will be back with episode 2 where we talk more about WandaVision.
Yeah, real fucking quickly, I think.
Yes. Well, we're going to record it now.
We're going to record it now and put it out pretty much at the same time because they released...
Yes. So we'll see you on the flip side.
Oh my god, on the flip side.
Are you proud of me?
No.
Oh!
The flip side.
Yes.
On the flippity flip.
Oh, yes. We'll see you on the flippity flip. I can pull that off. Shut up.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening. We will see you on the flippity flip.
Now you throw a basketball into the basketball net.
And it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and then eventually it does.
Eventually it does. Eventually it always does. We'll be back soon.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.